Great, so I want to take a moment here with Buddy to demonstrate how we maintain a known behavior and create reliability in that behavior with the e-collar. So Buddy is coming down to the end of his 3-week board and train. We have done a lot of work building base skills and then creating strong reliability in those skills, both on leash and off with leash pressure and electric collar pressure. So we have 2 other videos in this series about creating and building base behaviors and then generating reliability in those behaviors. The first covering shaping the initial behavior, the second walking through how we use the leash first to start building reliability in that behavior through the use of pressure. So I would watch those before jumping into this one, but I'm going to dive into the specific mechanics of what we're doing to maintain the place position and the down position with Buddy. So basically right now you will, I have him on the Mini Educator electric collar, and I have it attached to an audio box so you'll be able to hear the timing of when I'm pressing the button. So timing is very important for use of the e-collar, effective use of the e-collar, and also choosing your levels is rather important as well. And so I'm going to take the opportunity to use some active work to kind of talk through what I'm doing and the decisions that I'm making with both of those things so that you get kind of some real world visuals of how to create and maintain these behaviors. Before diving into that, to kind of walk through why I'm choosing to integrate the e-collar and how our general philosophy works with adding the e-collar in, will be helpful for understanding kind of the purpose and what I'm doing with this dog. So first of all, I like to introduce the e-collar after we've kind of built strong base behaviors in order to create an off-leash reliable behavior. So even if my dog is not strongly motivated for the food in that moment, so say maybe I do have a food motivated dog like Buddy, but there's a strong distraction, like a big one for him is odor. You know, is a pretty persistent marker, so he's often much more likely to try and go sniff a tree or a bush than want to engage with me out on a walk, even with food in the picture for some scenarios. And also like squirrels would be another big one for him, so he's got some prey drive in there. So there may be moments that food is not enough for him to be motivated to comply with the behavior that I'm asking for. And this, for this dog especially, can create some unsafe situations because he is a large, powerful dog that is very physically capable of causing significant issue for me as a handler or the owners as a handler if we were to lean too heavily into just one version of how to create and maintain behavior. So with him, I like the e-collar because it allows me to work some obedience hands-free. So basically, even when I'm unattached, I can help build a really strong level of reliability in positions work, even without having a leash attached. So when the leash is on, I can use that to guide the dog into positions or to prevent them from engaging in an alternative behavior that I don't love. But the e-collar allows me to basically use the same principles to guide my dog away from undesirable behaviors and into ones that I can then reward the dog for. So I don't use the e-collar typically as a purely punitive device. I'm not using it as a way to essentially bully my dog into behavior. I don't want it to be something that's creating a level of fear and anxiety in my dog. I want it to be adding clarity and structure into the work that we're doing. So right now we'll be working through 2 pieces of behavior. Right now it would be holding behavior. So a sit or a down isn't that useful to me if my dog can only do it for 2 seconds at a time, because it doesn't really offer me stability in that moment, whereas a dog that can hold this position while I allow guests into my home, or cook dinner, or create some distance by staying on a place bed while I'm eating dinner with friends or family, rather than trying to steal food off the table. You know, that is very useful for me. Another big utility of that for my use usually is if I'm out on an off-leash hike, I'm able to ask my dog to hold a downstay while I pick up their poop, and then I don't have to worry about whether I didn't see a deer in the woods and now my dog is engaging in a less controlled chase scenario. I don't have to worry about running into someone who's fearful of dogs. So it just allows me a lot of control that can keep my dogs safe and allow them to integrate well into my life. So especially in those moments where I don't necessarily have a leash on my dog, which isn't just like off-leash hiking, it can be just your dog being at liberty in your home as well. So we'll get into just the full practical application and just get rolling. So buddy, let's go. So here I'm going to start with the place bed just because, especially in such like a low distraction environment, the down is almost a little too easy. But you can see he already is very conditioned to going to place and settling there. So now we're just going to create a little bit of a game out of it. So I can kind of show you the timing. Get it. Buddy, place. He doesn't go to place right away. That's when I apply a little bit of pressure. So there he was thinking about coming to me for the food rather than going to the place bed. So I apply just a little bit of e-collar pressure to kind of push him towards the bed. Release happens there, and then I follow with food. So it allows me to kind of quickly adjust where his trajectory is, and then he still is able to earn that reward just through the behavior that we would like to build. Get it? Hold it until that release. Ready, place. Applying that pressure as soon as he passes the position. Good boy. We're right now on a level 6. Fairly low, out of 100. Ready, come. Good boy. Ready, place. And you see the timing on that was basically he started going to place. I didn't apply any pressure because he was showing intent to follow through with the behavior. But down. But as soon as he peeled away from that, so before he got to the place bed, he looked back to me because he was kind of trying to see if he could cheat the system and earn the reward just for running in the right direction. And that's where I added that little bit of e-collar pressure. And I also moved towards the bed to kind of help him follow through. So I will fade that out and play a little bit with that in this scenario to kind of show you how to help him have a little more independence going all the way and fully committing to the end behavior. But otherwise, that was a really good example of like allowing him to attempt the position and then guiding him if he kind of half makes it. Buddy, come. Good boy. All right. And the reason he's hanging back there is he's ready for me to send him again. Place. Nope. Place. Nope. So here we're on an 8. I don't really want to go super high. So what I'm going to do is keep the pressure on. Use my leash to help guide him because that offers me a lot more direction for the dog. The stimulation is just a little, it's non-directional. So it tells the dog that they haven't completed the desired behavior yet, but it doesn't give them any information as to what that behavior is. I'm the only one that can, and if in that moment he gets kind of stuck, my best option is to help him out a little bit because I can tell his intent is to follow through. But he got a little lost and a little stuck on the way there, and that's where I like to keep my leash on until I'm very confident that my dog has a really strong understanding and desire to follow through with the cue and knows that the pressure will turn off as soon as they have completed the cue that they've been given. Good boy. And I did bump up the level a little bit when he did not show intent to go to the board. Basically to try and like increase the pressure of nope, I actually meant go to the board. But in that instance, because it wasn't him not wanting to follow through with the behavior, I chose to offer guidance rather than just up the level of discomfort in that moment. Though there are moments that I may want to compel the dog into position with a little bit of a stronger reminder, that moment was not a scenario where that would have been productive for me. It wasn't disobedience, it was just lack of clarity. Buddy, come. Good boy. Good. Let's see if we can send that in. Buddy, place. Good. Buddy, come. Good boy. Place. Good. So you'll notice I started going a little closer to the board. to try and build a little stronger habit and not create such a big challenge. Buddy, come. Good boy. Buddy, place. Kind of let him figure it out here. Yeah, good boy. This is where patience becomes incredibly important, because if I step in every time, he's gonna start waiting for that help, because he doesn't have to think through it on his own. You also may have heard that little break in the audio box. Basically what will happen with this collar is if I hold the button too long, it will time out and stop stimming on its own. And that doesn't give me power over the release, so basically I just kind of do a quick like hold, 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 hold with just a little reminder there, so that I can keep the pressure on until I'm ready to release it. Buddy, come. Good boy. One more. Buddy, place. Good, and you notice how, down. You'll notice how confident he was going all the way there that next time, because he had to problem solve it that time himself, and he wasn't so dependent on me to get there. Good boy. I asked him for an additional behavior, that down, and then I just added gentle taps on that one because I just wanted to remind him. I know that he knows the down. We haven't practiced a ton with him putting that position into play at a distance like this, so I wanted to just kind of like give him a little like pressure into position without overwhelming him or potentially causing him to break. Good boy. Get it. One more. Buddy, place. Nope. And there I offered a little help because he showed signs of going into the down position instead over here. Wasn't a lot of help, it was just me taking one step closer to kind of give him that cue of this isn't where I want you to end up. But we'll play with one more down. Yes, get it. Buddy, place. Good boy. Down. Good. Good. And here I'm going to kind of test him in his position a little bit. I don't require every dog to do a down stay on the place every time I send them, because place can just be a targeting tool. But for most pet dog work, I do teach a down when they find it. So I would recommend that overall, which is why I'm asking for it here. It makes it a little less easy for him to just sneak off. But it has lots of uses. So you know, I'm not super strict on having to make him down every time, but I do often and most of the time ask for that. See, he's working real hard. Good boy. So I'm gonna reward that. Nope. Good. So there, I basically just marked with my punishment marker of nope. And basically that tells him that's not what's gonna pay. Pressure turns on until he returns to position. So basically here, rather than the progression being the cue place, if you don't comply, e-collar stim until you do. The progression here is you break from position of a position I've already cued you into, and that is what turns the e-collar on. So I want the dog having the belief that basically once they've been asked to hold a downstay, a sit, a heel, that pressure will turn on as soon as they move out of that position that we've asked for. So they have control over whether the stim turns on through the choices that they make in this behavior. Good boy. And you can see he's learning my tricks. And this is a low level of what we would be working towards for like those high distraction moments of having somebody enter your house, and you know, maybe cooking dinner when your dog has food in the picture. These are kind of your basic baby pieces that you need. If your dog can't stay for this, they're definitely not going to be able to hold that position with a higher value, higher excitement item in the picture. Good boy. I'm going to open the gate, see if that does anything. I'm going to walk out of frame, but you may hear it. Good boy. Very nice. I feel like that was plenty of demonstrations. You got to see a little bit of helping to use the e-collar to compel the dog into position, and then also using the e-collar to maintain positions as well, which really is where a lot of this long-term reliability for a behavior like this would come from. So this can have a lot of really strong real-world uses, from house manners to public access skills to off-leash obedience for off-leash hiking. And while there's a lot of nuance to how I would use this tool in different scenarios, ultimately the concept is the same for things like recall, for your sit stays, for your down stays. The principles are the same for loose leash walking, but a little more complex there. So ideally I'll be able to make another video that shows a little bit of how I layer e-collar pressure into that as well. But this gives us kind of a nice starting point of where I would use the collar, what the timing would feel like as we progress through a behavior. So this matches up exactly where we would have left off with Bubba, and just applies it to the place position instead of a down position, just because it's pretty tricky to get this dog to break a down stay because he has built such a strong behavior over the past couple of weeks. So it really is largely the same concept as what you're doing with the leash, but it does take a little bit of getting used to get the timing correct, takes some practice to get a feel for exactly when to work through that, but it is something that allows you to create strong reliability in your positions and your behaviors that you otherwise may not be able to see quite as strong of success with other methods. So this is why we recommend this tool for basically every board and train that we offer, not because we feel every dog needs to be e-collar conditioned, but because we want owners to have this option as a way to communicate with their dog off leash and help to guide into behavior as needed and maintain that behavior even when there are heavy distractions in the picture and the scenario is potentially more high stakes. Good boy, buddy.